Spirit says play with color, play with your image. Have fun. Stop seeking the approval of others. Stop pretending you're not seeking the approval of others when you're seeking the approval of others. What do you want to wear? What do you want to do? What do you want to say? If we're censoring that because of some mysterious other, well then, we got to talk. Okay, so the preacher has been wanting to come through for a few days. Now, I haven't wanted to do it because I've been having a pity party and I'm pretty stressed out, and so I didn't want to let the energy come through. Is that self-sabotage? I mean, the preacher energy that comes through that, I invoke with the power of living God, which, have you ever studied Psychiana? So the power of the living God, as I've stated in my other videos, to me is about you. It is the creator God in you. It is the power of the living God that is in all things, all consciousness, and not the one true God. It is about your focus every day, your belief, how you're using the power of the living God to create the reality you want to live in and prefer. You're projecting reality, and you're drawing things to you and repelling things away. And when I'm feeling a little bit sorry for myself, like, no, I'm not drawing this to me. I didn't create this. I'm a victim to it all. I don't have any control over it all. And when I'm doing that, I'm not really in the mood for Spirit to tell me that, hey, you created this so you could uncreate it. I'm like, okay, well, I'm not getting clarity on how I can uncreate it because, Spirit says because you're not letting Spirit through. Anyway, so we're going to bring in the preacher energy, and I'm going to get kind of rowdy and move things through, and I'm not going to be feeling sorry for myself afterwards because of the energy I moved through, but I guess that's just it. So, I invoke the power of the living God. I invoke the power of the living God. I invoke the power of the living God, and I ask that all available angels and archangels be with us now. I ask that my higher self is listening, and all higher selves of anyone that is available of a high consciousness and light being. I call in the violet flame to clear out any negativity. Mother God, Jesus, Saint Germain, I call in all available beings of the light and high vibration. As we are now moving into understanding interdimensionality, understanding who we are as humans, as we are now being awakened, disclosure, call it whatever you want, things that you, light workers and starseeds, have known your entire life are now being visible to the masses, and they're looking to their leaders to tell them what it is, and they're learning they aren't the leaders. They're learning that the government is not the government. They're learning they're governed by some strange entity unrelated to them. I believe. I've led the energy through, okay? We're raising our frequency, I believe in the power of the living God. I believe that in every moment I create my reality. I believe that I am not a victim to any circumstance, but that I create the circumstance based on my belief system. I believe that I can let go of my need to believe that someone or something has power over me. I know that I create my reality in every single moment. Why, Spirit, why do I believe that the matrix of the governments of man have power over me? Why does the news in the mail or in the email make me paralyzed with fear over something that mankind can do to me? I believe in the power of the living God, and I do not believe in the governments of man. And you know, Reverend, you say this all the time. But how do you believe it? How do I believe it? How do I take their power away from me? I believe that I am of the light. I believe that I am not a victim. I know that I create my reality, but I live a life where I believe they have power over me, and in that I've restricted myself. Preacher says I'm not giving way to the sermon that wants to come through because I'm arguing with it. Okay, I do that sometimes. I believe in the power of the living God. I believe in the power of the living God. And I know that you too will be able to let go of your belief in the governments of man. You will be able to let go of the power they hold over you. What you don't understand right now is that you have already let it all go. You are mistaken your issue, your problem, your need of solution. You think you still believe they have power over you. You think that they hold some sort of mysterious reign over your life, over your thoughts. What can they do to you? You're not afraid of death. You're not afraid of jail. You're not afraid of... What do you believe they can do to you? I think that you've let go of your belief that they have a power over you. I think it is your ego that does not believe in the power of the living God, and your ego needs to be right, and your ego needs to have this truth be your truth, instead of what you have been embracing, which is that all truths are valid. All ways of life are valid. If you don't prefer this one, it's still valid. It's time to let the new earth come in. It's time to let go of trying to control the uncontrollable. It's no longer possible at any way, on any level at all, to control other people's action and reaction. You can no longer influence that change at all. We are in New Earth, fully in this energy where every single thing you put out is going to come back. Oh, that's the world you want? Oh, that's the world you want? Oh, that's the world you want? You had some play. Even last October, before November, you still had some energetic play where you could be like, okay, well, I'll dabble in this and I'll dabble in that, and it won't necessarily create a world, okay, I did, and then things come back at me, but they came slow. I thought they were coming fast. But now, anything at all that I put out there and go, well, no, right? And I'm complaining about something someone else is doing, or I'm judging their way of life, that comes right back at me in something that's very uncomfortable and perhaps traumatic for me, and definitely not preferred. So, I believe in the power of the living God, and I believe that you can create the reality you want. I believe you can let go of your need for your ego to be right. You believe, and again, this is the preacher talking to me and talking to you out there, telling me this. You believe that they have power over you, but really it is your ego. It is your root of, yes, self-doubt, feeling stupid. It is your ego for needing justice. There's no such thing as justice. Okay? You know that the governments and courts of man are corrupt, as you say. Like, you know that they're not following their own laws. You know that they're not in alignment with you. Why do you keep poking at it? Why do you touch the hot stove and leave your hand there? Why do you repeat a thought when it doesn't feel good? And am I allowed to defend myself here? Okay, I'm going to defend myself here. The reason I do it is, okay, let's look at the Carolyn Myth stuff of where do I prostitute myself? Well, what is my payoff? Well, I guess it's the pattern feels familiar. The pattern feels like family, maybe seeking validation, seeking to exist, seeking some sort of societal approval. Yes, Rachel's back. Yes, well, at the same time, you believe in the power of the living God, and you know that you don't need their approval. You know they don't want your approval. You know if they all lined up and said, hey, come over to our party, come over to our party, come over to our party, you'd be like, no, I don't want to do that. I'm not interested in anything you have to say. I'm not interested in anything you want to do. I don't want to go to your party. I don't want to go to your barbecue. I don't want to go to your dinner. I don't want nothing to do with any of your stuff. But yet there you are wanting their approval. And in your spiritual healing work, again, this is a preacher talking to me, so talking to you, you're telling people to stop seeking the approval of their mother, their adult children, their spouses, to stop seeking approval in society. And you're telling them, why are they seeking approval of people that they don't like? Like one recent example, giving spiritual advice to someone whose mom their adult mother was so I mean, they was an adult person with, of course, an adult mother. And didn't support their music, didn't support their spirituality, nothing to do with, like, we're into witchy stuff, they're into psychic stuff, they're into all this really cool stuff. The mom hated all of it, and then hated everything about her, but she still sought the mom's approval. And you counseled her to be her true self regardless. And I understand that you do that in your private life, and that you believe you're doing that with various people in your life. But now you're giving that power over to government entities. But here's the thing, Reverend. You lived in a car with $0. You lived with the car gone with $0. Voila. What can't you do? In the scenario that's playing out for you that you're giving your power to, is it worse? Is it harder? Is it more suffering in human ways? Is it worse, let's call it, for lack of a better word, than anything you've ever experienced? No, it's better. Worst case scenario that they can do to you is better than the worst case scenario you've already experienced as a human being. Is it not? I have to agree, it is. It is. I have to agree. And what it is that you say that they can take from you, I heard you say, you haven't even used in 15 years. You're worried they can take it away? You think that's you giving your power away? I believe in the power of the living God. That is not you giving your power away. That is your ego wanting to be right. And if you're going to be right, then you're going to be okay, and you're going to be loved. If you are telling the truth and you're heard, your inner child that fought so hard as a child to tell the truth and was wrong. Every time you shouted from the rooftop, someone's being abused, someone's being hurt, you were punished. And you're reliving that now over and over and over and over. It's your ego. You're afraid to be wrong. But there is no right or wrong. Let go, let go, let go, let go, let go. There is no right. There is no wrong. What do you prefer? What do you not prefer? You say the government's men don't exist, and there you are, poking at it. Does corruption really exist if government's men don't exist? What is all this blather, Reverend? It's time to stop railing against what you don't want. Preaching to others, hey, talk about what you want. Your focus is your wand. Then you create reality with what you say and what you think. And there you are, saying and thinking and creating what you don't want. Now, I know you were asked today, why do you do that? Is it habit? Is it pattern? Is it seeking validation? Is it seeking to exist? Are you afraid to let go of your operating system and everything you know to be your human life that you've created in this moment? Are you afraid to let go because what? You're going to disappear? What does that look like? Death? Well, you know when you die, you wake up in another timeline. Boom. You've done it already. You know you're not going to freeze to death. Done it already. You know you're not going to starve. Done it already. You already conjured yourself up permanent housing. Yes, you're afraid of other monetarily and survival things, but you have already survived them. You have already used the power of the living God to create an entire world. Well, nobody's pestering you. And yes, the government's a man. Sneak in. And those nasty little weasels sneak in and they go, hey, how about you give your power to me? And you go, because they got some sort of official seal of the corrupt government's a man. Oh, there you go. You said it again. You just judged them by calling them corrupt. Okay. All right. I have no opinion. I have no opinion on the government's a man. There's no such thing as corruption or injustice. I create my own reality, and I'm not a victim. I believe in the power of the living God, and I believe that you can believe that. I believe that you can let go of your ego. And long ago, when you had that ceremony and you married yourself, you chose you over the persona. Spirit asked you directly and loud, right there in your storage unit. I heard it, I remember. Do you want to be this? Or do you want to let go of your persona? Do you want to be the persona? Do you want to be the ego? Do you want to be the version of you that anyone else wants you to be? Or can you let go? And Spirit told me in my 20s that I would succeed in life when I died while I was alive. And I thought I'd done it. And I got this and then I let it go. And I build this up and I let it go. Build this up and I let it go. And whatever I've been doing over the last yonder while, we'll call it, I have created an ego again that is tapped into that part of me that I pretended that I let go of. And I want to let go. I don't care what the governments of man are doing. I talk to spirit. I talk to trees. I channel entities. I talk to dragons. I got a bear guide. I have died. I have seen into other realms. I've walked out over the docks and I scry into the water and I have a conversation with the stars and the moon. I don't care what these corrupt people are doing. I believe in the power of the living God that I can let go of my need to bring them to some sort of light or justice. I don't care what they're doing. I let go, I let go, I let go. Whatever life they choose, have at it. Have at it. And the only thing that I'm being shown, the only thing for me, is if it's in my face, push back. In my face, push back. If you're in my face, push back. Otherwise, anytime you engage with them, you go, hey, yeah, you over there, what you're doing? Yeah, I don't like it. I don't prefer it, and it's not my thing, and so you're stupid and dumb and wrong. And Spirit says, every time you do that, you engage with it. You quantum entangle, whereas you look over here and you go, wow, that's beautiful. But I wasn't finding sustenance in beauty. I would go down, sit on the beach, go cold water swimming, talk to the eagles. I took hundreds and hundreds of pictures of this one eagle. And then every time I went there, I know it was the same one, and it just had this like communion and this conversation and looking at it through the Zoom and just this connection. And I loved it. And I love connecting with animals. I love connecting with the mountains. But I felt like, like the Joneses, like an addict or whatever. Like, I got like just depression and like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And that's because my fight or flight, growing up in severe domestic violence, it didn't feel like love. It didn't feel like contentment. I wasn't able to be at peace. So once I got housing and once I got stability in that matrix sort of world, then I was seriously depressed because there was no excitement. Where's the excitement? Okay, survival. Trying to survive every day, trying to please somebody, trying to save somebody, trying to be any archetype, being the victim, being the savior, and to just be. Well, if I just be, no one notices me and I sit and I don't even exist. And that's the way, because I don't exist. And this is one aspect of me. All time is at once. There's many other aspects of me. I tap into this in dream time. I sit down and I write poetry and I write whatever I want every day, just words, just flow, flow, flow. I have warmth, I have peace, and I'm unnerved by it. I'm unnerved by the peace. I'm in constant stress and constant worry of what's going to come at me next. And I ask Spirit to help me to let go of that constant fear of who can come in and take that power away again. I haven't fully let the preacher energy in. I guess I'm resisting a little bit because it does feel good and it's a high vibrating energy and I'm not feeling high vibration. And so Spirit's telling me just, to stop judging myself and to let myself be where I'm at now and comforted, enjoy some good food, visit and just be and just sit with it. And it hurts like hell. It's like this. My solar plexus goes to the center of Mother Earth in this insatiable way and nothing to hang on to. It's like out on a diving board, like jumping into the abyss. There's nothing to hold on to. And then this tightness in my chest and my solar plexus of this pending doom of what other people can do to me at any time they want, of giving my power away. And I don't want to be afraid anymore. And so I can say it over and over. I'm not a victim. I'm not a victim. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid. I don't believe. I don't believe. But I was working with my spiritual advisor today on just different techniques, which I'm going to be doing a bunch of tonight, on how to move from belief to knowing, how to integrate what I want to believe, what I logically know is the best belief for me to have, and I go, I believe that, but I haven't integrated it into a knowing, or wouldn't have this constant background fear that somebody else can just destroy my life in any moment, and that I'm not creating my reality. And I preach about creating my reality, and I talk about creating my reality, and I believe I create my reality, but I created survival, and I created pretty good stability for myself. And so I'm like, well, can it get better? Oh, don't do that. Can you like have more peace? Oh, don't do that. You still got to punish yourself with being constantly afraid. You got to have a panic attack every time you have an appointment. You got to be afraid of every noise outside. You got to be like, I want, and the government's of man, the system of man, calling that PTSD, calling that anxiety, is also, an addiction to chaos. Growing up in domestic violence, that's what felt like love. So resisting the need to have that high, or that high stress, that high cortisol, that constant, Spirit showing me that when I'm not getting it in interpersonal relationships, and I'm not having to survive anymore, and this stuff is kind of coming together where it's okay. I'm okay. I'm safe, and my physical body's safe, and I'm letting my nerves reheal, and I want a fix, just like any junkie. And so I will create something that brings chaos in, and then the chaos does some sort of a chemical rush, and that feels like love, and that feels like acceptance, because when I was a kid, that was love. So my parents would fight all the time, but they would love hard. They'd fight hard and love hard. And my mother would hit my dad, and they'd scream at each other, and one would gaslight each other, and they'd break shit, and I'd pick it all up, and I would counsel my mother, and I was raised an only child. Later I learned I had siblings, long stories there, but I was, always in that chaotic environment, and that translated as love. Every single time it was enormous amounts of love. So after the chaos, there would be love. Every single time. I had an aunt that told me when I was way into adulthood that she came over once when I was like about 8 years old, and I was just hunkered down beside the trailer house, just hands over my ears while they're screaming and fighting inside. And so there's a part of me that if somebody's not screaming and fighting, I don't feel like I'm okay. And so it takes a lot to get new patterns, to get new habits. And though I'm 54 now, I created scenario after scenario of being in fear. I lived in a car for a while. I did a lot of things where it was just pure survival. Like, I see myself running across the ocean, jumping from wave to wave to wave. And now my task is to just be and sit in that chaos and sit in that pain and sit in that loss and just let it dissolve without a story of without needing to get out of it, without needing to say, oh, well, I know what this is because of a past thing. No, you don't. Maybe you just got a bellyache. Just feel it. Let the pain come up and just feel it. And it's really been coming up, and it's just pouring out. My solar plexus in my heart, and and panic attacks, and I'm shifting. I'm letting go. It's kind of a withdrawal too, Spirit showing me. So what I've been doing every day for 2 years, I quit cold turkey pretty much. And so I don't have that adrenaline of fight or flight with everybody in the anti-corruption world. I have things that I'm following through with, and I will. But in general, I don't care what they do anymore. What the follow-up and the finishing of the energies that I have started, I intend to do. But moving forward, that's for others to do. It's none of my business. And for me to say there's something to do, I'm still judging it. But I'm letting go of that more and more. And that, too, is a high. It's a rush. It's a, oh my gosh, who's attacking me now? Who's attacking me? Who's attacking me? Boom, boom. Oh, you said this. I said this. You said, right? And when you just stop, and you just feel it with no action needed, no judgment, which I'm not there yet, being in neutrality, which I'm not there yet, but I am closer to saying your reality isn't one that I prefer, but I recognize that it is a valid way of life for you. I don't prefer it. I don't want anything to do with it, but I don't need to rail against it. I don't need to put you down. I don't need to fight you. I need to instead focus on what I love. And I tell Spirit, well, I don't have any clue what I love. And I don't know. And Spirit's like, well, it's the little things, right? Is there some sort of food you like, some sort of show, some sort of, and I went out today and I was in line at the food bank, and I had this moment that teared me up. It was a little blankie that was specially made with love. It was just, it made me tear up. And so I was kind of feeling, and then this guy asked me if I was okay, and I was chatting a little bit. And then I saw this guy coming along with this dolly, and he had a big box, and drinks just started falling out of it, plastic drinks. Nothing was breaking, it was just falling. And the way it fell in slow motion, it just cracked me up, and I just laughed really hard. And then there was a couple other things that made me just crack up at the way I was watching people and just some funny thing they did. And Spirit's like, see, that there it is. To just keep reaching for those moments of what's joyful, what's funny, and stop touching the hot stove, and stop doing things that feel bad, or stop, putting some righteous, egotistical energy out there that you want to change and control somebody, and then being like, gee, I wonder why the universe did it back to me, right? So Spirit's like pretty clear on that. But like I said, it is an addiction. And, trying to make the world a better place and trying to make everything right, it gets to be an addiction. I took 7 years off of that, and then I came back in for a specific reason, and I trust that. But I don't want that energy in my life. And I did what I felt was a spiritual calling, and sometimes I probably went too far. Because I'm not rolling my eyes at myself. I'm just saying that, it didn't feel good. I'm like, this is fun, so I trust my highest excitement. But then I go further, and it wasn't exciting, and it was hurting me, and it wasn't feeling good. And then I'm like, okay, well, that's done, so now what? There's like nothing to do, I'm bored, there's nothing to do. So because someone's not beating me over the head, or I'm in constant chaos, then I'm bored, I'm lonely, I'm sad, it's pending doom, what's it all worth, right? And so my job, and your job, I guess if you're listening, is to just just sit with it, let go of, if you drink alcohol or, anything that you do to silence it, don't silence it. Just sit in it and feel it. Even if you only do it for 2 minutes, 5 minutes. So instead of, reaching for your, your marijuana or your antidepressant or your whatever, alcohol, whatever you do in your world, Spirit asks you to sit with it. 30 seconds, 2 minutes, 2 hours. Just sit with it a little bit. Don't put a story to it. Just sit with the feeling. And it's awful. I have this awful feeling in my solar plexus right now. And this background fight or flight that's been there, and this chaos and these panic attacks, and it's hard to not put a thought to it. And I've been working with my spiritual advisor on that too. Like, people are like, okay, well, you don't need to ruminate on a thought. Okay, thought's like, okay, the river's going by. You don't try to stop the river. Why can't I just let a thought go by? I mean, it's one of my triggers and traumas. I have to answer every thought. Like I used to give people money and things and my time way past my own burnout and almost to my own starving to death and freezing to death. And oftentimes couldn't say no to strangers. And because of my own childhood trauma, someone says, hey, you got a blah, blah, and I want it. And I'm like, okay, I got to give it to you. And, that comes from domestic violence. That comes from, I stopped it when in the big way, in the money way, when I had got a chunk of money and I got a vehicle and I was getting ready to, get back into housing, do something, right? And I spent it on other people. And then I laid in the car with $0 and no food. Didn't have food stamp, didn't know about food banks, didn't know how to get help for gas. Just sat there and went, oh. And I hugged myself and cried myself to sleep night after night and promised my body that I would never give so much of myself that I put my own self in a life or death situation. And my bestie at the time, who didn't have a job, got one to help me through that. I mean, I've never had a time in my life where I wasn't able to like manifest money or manifest something to get by. I couldn't. And so, I was willing to die so that I didn't have to disappoint a stranger. I was willing to die and freeze to death, have nothing in the world, so that someone liked me for a moment, so that I could buy their kids or them food for a day instead of myself housing or comfort. I spent the money on other people's comfort and nearly died myself. And I promised myself that I would never, ever, ever do that again. And so how it manifests now, I kind of forgot like the beginning of this, but with thoughts. So I don't do it so much with people are going, oh, hey, yeah, I'm cold. Can I have your coat? Okay, well, I'm hungry. Can I have all your food? Okay, well, so I don't do that with people anymore. And in that moment of going, oh my God, what have I done, right? I sold a internet property and I got some money and I bought a vehicle. I spent all the money on other people's quality of life, and the previous story I just told you. So now I'm trying to do that. I'm realizing I do that with thoughts. So a thought goes by and I got to answer to it. Well, you're stupid. You're this. No, I'm not. I was like this. Well, wait, isn't that? And then I got this belief system colliding. Well, you're going to get hurt if you do that. Okay, well, this person's after you. Okay, well, that's after you. Okay, every thought that goes by, I don't have to humor it. But I don't have the ability to let every thought go by. And we're working on this today of things to practice. So thought comes up and I go, okay, look around at something. Just, because I can't necessarily stop the thought or stop engaging with it. Some people say they don't think all the time. They just have thoughts when they're thinking about something. I don't really get that because I have this constant. And you also have this constant thing that's always trying to, kick my ass or think negative about me. And so also coming up with, okay, so a thought comes up. Don't feed the thought, but what do I do with it? Do I engage it? How do I ignore it? I go, no. And so humming, toning, drumming, looking around the room. And so that's what I'm working on now, is to not engage every thought like it's a stranger coming up. Hey, give your soul, your heart, your belief to me. And then I panic, okay? Or if something comes in the mail or my email that wants me to do something, I panic and I have a panic attack. Or they want you to be somewhere and you have a panic attack and I can't deal with it. And so I'm like, well, why did I give my power to that? Why am I engaging with that like that? Why can't I just be like, okay, well, there's that and just deal with it? Well, it's this background noise. It's this background stress. It's this operating system from my childhood that makes me continue to be seeking approval, thinking they have power over me, thinking that I'm in trouble, right? Always in trouble. When I have good relationships, I'd be like, okay, well, when's the shoe gonna drop? When's the shoe gonna drop? It can't be this good, right? Always waiting for the bad, always waiting for the flip side, and expecting it. And I practiced a lot over the last couple of years going to the mailbox and going, all news is good news. All news is all news is welcome here. All news is welcome here. Because every time I go to the mailbox, I'd have panic. My heart would race and just seize up. Because I don't know what's in the mail. I don't know what they're going to ask me to do. Any noise outside seems like a knock or somebody's going to show up, and I seize up and I panic. You got to be at this place at this certain time, seize up and panic. If I got an appointment 2 weeks in advance, I seize up and panic. If I had an appointment the next day, I can't sleep at all. And then the next morning, depending on what it is, then I'll either have a panic attack and won't be able to function in it. And Spirit is showing me that, this is just going to take time to reprogram the neurons, reprogram what it is that I believe is love, what I believe the attention. So seeking attention, there's an energy or triggers or traumas that seek attention and seek to be fed, and chaos and pain and fear and panic feed them. And so to get into new habits, I have to let this come up. and relax and let it heal. Let it come up, relax and heal. And these muscles. I remember, I think it was 2018, I came back from one of my mini trips to Ireland. And this background in here, so I have it now, it's like up and deep and it's tight and seizing. And then I'll have it in my chest. Well, I had it just really, really bad locked. And which so much spasm and fight or flight that the muscle was contracted. And so I would do these breathings. So I'm having it here now, so I'm going to do it here. And it's a lot less than it used to be. To just let myself relax the physical muscle that's holding that anxiety. And just do it for a little bit. And when I did that, then this contraction kind of let up. You know, it's a troubleshooting thing where let's up here, comes up there, let's up here, comes up there. So the preacher energy that pushed through some, I do feel like my energy's raised a little bit, but I'm challenged right now in my life, and also, you know, kind of beating myself up, but like, why is that still bothering me? Like, why do I believe this has power over me? Why am I afraid? Why can't I just speak my mind and my truth and just be cool and then trust whatever happens? I say that I trust my frequency. I trust spirit. I trust what's brought into my life. So why can't I just deal with it or walk through it without having a panic attack? And spirit's like, well, this is a really strong one. This is a strong operating system. This is a strong hold in my biofield, in my body, in every cell, in past lives and in other timelines. It's this strong hold that when I spoke my mind to an authority as a child, I was punished. When I told about my abuser, I was punished and not believed. When I told on my uncle abusing his children, I was punished and not believed. And then he continued doing it. And so my life kind of moved in that direction later on in fighting corruption and stuff of like, here's all of this proof. I got the truth and here's the facts. And then the, you know, abuser example of like molestation, you know, trauma childhood, the abuser comes in and goes, well, you know, I didn't do it and she's got 6 heads and, you know, she's got, you know, a green nose. And then the judge is like, okay, she's got a green nose. And the first time it happened to me in Hamilton, Montana, I was stunned. She didn't look at any of my evidence. I mean, tons of evidence, incident reports and trial transcripts and photos and videos and IP addresses and you name it, evidence. Yeah, I don't see none of that. I got my marching orders. And then the guy over here that, you know, worked for the bad guys, he said, yeah, she did this and this and this. Not one stitch of paper, not one video, not one IP address, no proof. And the judge went against me and gave him a protective order against me to shut down my online speech. And that was in 2009, I think it was. And then he used it with the local police in Montana to come after me. And that went after me for years. And I have this one guy, his sister was top of the FBI, these really high official people within an anonymous group. They contacted me and said, look, you've exposed, you know, this and this and this. And you need to stay visible now. Okay, you can't, and here's how they're going to set you up. Here's how they'll get you for sound pollution. Here's how they'll put drugs in your car. Here's what they'll do to your house. Here's how they'll tap your phone lines. Every single thing they told me it was going to happen to me after I started exposing corruption on accident, just because I was exposing a rape of someone that I'd known my whole life. They did. And I'm 54 now, and that was like, started when I was like, well, the big time part of it was 2004, that shift. And so I was pretty stunned. I was naive before then. I knew about corruption, but I had no idea that I could take hundreds of documents of proof to court and they would go against me. And then in my hometown, Eureka, Montana, I took all this stuff in, you know, the death threat and how they were setting me up, all these different things they were doing and to different people. And then there's rapes and druggings and a bunch of stuff. And she's like, yeah, definitely the proof. And she went back to sign the protective order. And then she got a call, I think it was from the prosecutor. They're in Lake County, Montana, Bernie Cassidy. And she come back and said, there's nothing we could do. Well, it turned out the bad guy worked for the University of Montana. They was involved in Homeland Security. I brought down 30 years of corruption with the Freeman incident and the border stuff, and the rapists were running drugs for the border patrol guards, and I didn't have any clue what I was bringing down, but I did. So then they used a protective order to try to off me, to try to set me up, to try to get me in a jail cell and drug me. So I left for about a year or two. And he kept at me. He kept at me online. He got people all over. I was stalked. I was drugged in Boulder, Colorado. I checked my car for bombs. I had that sort of life. And then in Port Townsend, I'm like, yeah, I've been there, done that, right? Just let go. Let go of that electrical charge. I don't want that kind of life anymore. I've done what I've done. I won a huge free speech case. I've changed the world, and I want to move on to peace. Lived in a car for 7 years, didn't do any of it. And then something happened that I really felt I needed to make a stand for, and I did. And so I got back into it. And just like any junkie, I got, okay, it's legit, and I'm doing something, and I'm exposing something. But then you go so far into it where you kind of lose yourself, and you can't change these people. And they're not looking at truth, and they're not looking at facts. They're looking at their truth. And I couldn't believe it one day when I was talking about this thing I've been working on 2 years, right? I'm getting all these public records. I'm creating this huge thing. And I'm like, okay, well, here's the chronology if you want to look at it. And this guy said, the chronology according to you. I'm like, what? The chronology of events that happen are what happened in the public record. It's not according to me. And I was like, there's no changing them. There's no convincing them. There's no, and as many times as I've heard, and in the last couple of years, the cryon that keeps popping up, Lee Carroll channeling cryon, is that we don't teach it anymore. You just live your life, and if someone comes in and says, how did you do that? Or how do you do this? Or if they come in and ask questions, okay. But not anymore where we're like, you got to come to the God, and you got to be this, and you got to be that. To not be that, to let it come to you, let it come to you. And I was slipping into that. But then I got righteous here and righteous there, and it was good. It was like, here, okay, this is my highest excitement, this is good. But then I was slipping in other things, which didn't even matter to me. And then it's like, then it becomes your life. You're like, wait a minute. Whoa. I channel a dragon. I channel Gold Star Trio. I talk to God. I've channeled Jesus. I've had Jesus come through me 3 times because the person that I was with was so communication and close to Jesus, and this energy of, oh my God, the purest love ever. And I said these things to these people, and it was so cool. I love being a psychic. I love bringing people spirit guides and telling them what the spirit guides want them to hear, and just bringing through information. And I feel so high and so good. And I love these videos, and I love, there's so many, I love this energy. And I feel sorry for myself that, I'm an only child in the universe. Don't switch it back to that domestic violence energy of love that you get from trying to fight people who have no self-awareness. They don't care what they do to other people. And that my job is to create the world that I want to live in. But then I tell Spirit, well, I don't know what that is, because I'm still like going, okay, well, survival. How do I get to the next level up from survival? What do I even want? What is there to offer here in this world? I can't teleport. I can't interdimensionally travel. I can't conjure up these colors and these buildings and these things the way I want to live. And Spirit's like, right, you agreed to come here and to master your emotions, and that's what you're working on. So just sit with them. And I'm like, boring, snoring, boring. But it's not like, and go out and chase excitement. So what I'm describing, a lot of people chase by going out partying. Sex addicts, because every time they're sexual, they get that high, that adrenaline, okay? Makeup, breakup kind of gets that. Getting drunk. They get drunk, and then the next morning, they're like, groggy or dry, and then by that afternoon, they're drunk again. So it's the survival mode of getting high and happy and then getting sick, and then it's kind of the same thing. I never did any of that. Mine was all emotional. I had this friend in high school who was very promiscuous, like big time. Men of all ages, and one woman, my girlfriend. But we won't go there. We won't go there. Or we might go there. Anyway, I said, why do you sleep with so many men? I mean, what in the world? And she said, I'd rather have that one moment of being loved, that one moment of someone really, really wanting me, than to never have it at all. And in sex with men, she could have that one moment where they really, really wanted her until, they were done, and then they were done. And she keeps seeking that high over and over and over. So she was having sex all the time with men of all ages. And she was a friend of mine, and she was very honest about it. And I used to say, because, when people call people slut or all this stuff, I would be like, you know what? That's her business. If she wants to have sex with several different men a day, that's her body. That's her right to do that. And not your right to judge it. And if it's healthy and that's what you want to do, do it. But in this context of what I'm saying, that's another form of a junkie. You're constantly seeking that emotional high from the orgasm. Yes, but you could have an orgasm alone. So you're kind of seeking it because you're seeking constant approval and wanting. Really, they really want you in that moment. And I've had women describe, not to be too graphic here, but oral sex with men of that power, that powerful moment of control that they have over the situation. So where everywhere in their life is chaos, they feel like they have control. They feel like they're really, really wanted. And then when it's over, then they seek it again because it's a high and it feels an adrenaline. And I do that by fighting corruption. I do that by seeking chaos. In my 20s and 30s, I was seeking in relationships because I thought, well, if we're not fighting or we don't have chaos, then we don't have love. Because growing up, chaos is love. Domestic violence is love. Verbally abusing each other is love. Jealousy and rage and breaking stuff is love. So I kind of recreated that in my first relationships from 17 to maybe say 26. I became very self-aware at 18 of the high that it was to fight and make up and fight and make up and somebody break me down or me break someone down and then, oh, I'm the hero, you're good. That all of these are forms of this same chemical addiction that now I'm not getting a hit. So I'm not getting that. I don't have chaos in my life. I don't have survival fears. I got some things coming up. And I got to deal with, but I know that I'll be okay. And my housing is rock solid. So I'm okay. And so the fear, I want to be kind to myself and say it's irrational, but it's not, it's a phantom fear. So the fact that I'm now going, okay, well, no one's knocking on the door. I'm okay right now. But my body doesn't know that. And it's going to could take years. I don't know. But I know it's something I'm actively working on to just let myself more and more every day sit in relaxation. I wake up in fight or flight. Any noise outside, and this house is so weird. I live on a highway, and there's different vents in the house. So all the windows and stuff are sealed. So sound that might be over there will come in over there. And so I'll get afraid. And someone knock on the door, I get afraid. If I think someone's going to show up, I get afraid. And so I have that background. It's almost an automatic creating that chemical rush and that fight or flight, because part of me feels like it's love or it's acceptance or it's family. And so it's me actively every day trying to get used to not being in fight or flight, to not needing chaos, to not needing makeup, breakup, needing someone to be mad at me and then I'm relieved, needing to be in trouble and then I'm not in trouble, or needing to constantly fix other people or governments or take a whole system of thing and go, okay, I'm just, little ant and this is this giant mountain and I'm going to, rearrange this whole mountain. Whereas I could just turn around and just build my own world and ignore the mountain. And so that's kind of my challenge now. I'm not in any way saying that it's negative that what I did to fight corruption or as a lightweight worker to bring down certain energies, to awaken people. I believe that I did do that. But I also believe that that's over for all of us. You live and let live. There's nothing you can do. You are not now to change anybody's mind about anything. You're to live your life and live your truth and not fight against anything. Right now, it hurts. It hurts. It's fight or flight and panic pain to go against your truth and your authentic self. And you know, people can drink it away. They can have tons of sex. They can fight. They can do whatever they're doing to try to make it go away. But it's going to keep coming back. And now, quicker than ever, everything we put out, we're getting right back. So I'm like, well, why did that happen? And then Spirit's like, see, you did this and this and this, and this happened. I'm like, yeah, but it wasn't from that person. It wasn't that. That wasn't. It's like, okay, so you did this and this and this in that system, and then you're surprised that something snapped back at you in that system, and you give a belief in that system. You're railing against that system, and then you're touching the hot stove, and then you wonder why something comes up. And so, you know, Spirit keeps asking me, you know, like, why? Why do I need to keep touching the hot stove when I don't like it? It's not even fun for me. Like, there's no joy in it. Like, some of the people that I just said, oh, they might go out and party and have some fun, they might have some sex, they might have a little bit of joy, and then, but I don't have any, and my stuff's not even joyful. It's like, it's not fun for me. I just kind of martyr myself to keep myself in victim mode, to keep the victim juices going so that I can, you know, feed the fight or flight. And I'm working on all that. But with the sexual stuff again, yeah, they might have that one moment of joy, but they're also taking on other people's triggers and traumas. And they're, you know, they're using their body in something that's, I mean, I don't know. Say you had a sexual experience for an hour or 2 hours. What I understand of men, I don't really do men, and I don't have a relationship with men, but what I understand about men is it's pretty quick. So you want that moment over true love. You want that moment over being your true authentic self and living your authentic life because you want constant approval of, I'm pretty, I look good, I'm wanted, right? Well, somebody's going to want everybody. If you're like, you know, you're giving it away out there. I mean, you know, a lot of people like a lot of sex, and a lot of people use sex to avoid their own thoughts. And I've never been that person. But like I said, my stuff's other stuff, which we've discussed here. I guess that's it. Okay, let's say the preacher one more time. I believe in the power. I believe in the power of the living God, and I believe that you can let go of this pain, Reverend. I believe that if you just be kind to yourself, be loving to yourself, be gentle on yourself, and every day keep a vigil watch over every thought and every action, and stop touching the stove, and let the power of the living God bring you good things. Let in good things. Let in good things. Let yourself laugh and play and be at peace. Stop punching the bears. Stop punching the wolves. Stop punching the demons. Just sit there and enjoy your theater, enjoy your popcorn, enjoy your candy, enjoy your laughter, and stop seeking to be punished. Stop seeking the pain. Stop seeking people hurting you. Let go. Amen.
Yeah, easier said than done. Okay.